Hi, I'm Alex. Welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. So today we're talking about something that's pretty important. It basically covers the majority of investments that I've discussed on this channel, a few examples being Nugget Online Gaming, STEM and its merger with Starpeak, HITI, Chargepoint, Akerna, the list goes on. I'm also going to address a question that I seem to be getting a lot more recently. Have I sold GNOG? Have I sold Starpeak? Have I sold HITI? Spoiler alert, I've not sold a single share. It would be madness to, and this video will hopefully help you understand why. This is all about thesis-led investing, how to think about it and why you need a certain mindset. If you're invested in any of these stocks, then this is not something you want to miss. Now, I also have a favour to ask of you. Investing and finance YouTube is becoming increasingly clickbaity. This is the opposite of what I wanted to achieve when I set out and started this channel. For the YouTube algorithm to push a video, you need a clickbaity thumbnail and a clickbaity title, and I personally don't think that's good for the sustainability of the investing community on here. It's not something I will ever do on this channel, but it's ultimately what the algorithm asks for. So please, smash the like button, it's massively appreciated, and it helps support the channel and keeps me true to the mission of why I started this channel, and it also lets the algorithm know that this is not always what's needed. Subscribe to the channel if you like investing related content. Check out the Patreon page if you want to see more content and access to the private Discord group and private live chats. And as always, I'm not a financial advisor. This video is purely for entertainment and educational purposes only, but let's get straight into it. So we're going to break this down into parts. Firstly, looking at what thesis-led investing actually is, and then we'll dive into examples of this in history, showing why you need a certain mindset to be this type of investor. Now we will also explore the risk-weighted returns versus more speculative plays, which will hopefully give you more colour as to why these strategies make so much sense. Thesis-led investing is the process of identifying a market where there's a huge transformational shift occurring. Oftentimes it's a once-in-a-generational development, and investing into a company or a number of companies which are best positioned to capitalise on that opportunity. Current examples of this include the decarbonisation of the economy, under which things like EVs, EV charging, energy storage, renewable energy all fall. Then you have things like the legalisation of online sports betting and online casino gaming across North America. Companies like Nugget Online Gaming, DraftKings, Rush Street, all of those play into this category. And then another thesis is the legalisation of cannabis and cannabis-related products across North America and other economies globally. HITI and Akerna, among many others, are examples of companies that play into this trend. Now, one important thing to note is that these are all trends which take some time to develop and take time to come into effect. The same is true when we look at examples from history. What that means, however, is that our approach to thesis-led investing needs to also be with a long-term horizon to it. Often, these theses can take decades to play out in full. Now, that's not to say that you need to hold your specific investments for that long, but typically you can't expect these stocks to be generating you a 10x return overnight. When thinking about this on a risk-weighted basis though, provided you are investing into a thesis where the fundamentals are correct, this is a more reliable method of making consistent long-term returns than alternative methods like taking more speculative bets on penny stocks, say with upcoming catalysts, and hope that the hype may not already be priced in. Now, that in itself raises an important point. Not all investment theses are ones which will end up playing out. Certainly, there are theses that currently I see people are investing in, which I don't personally have a strong degree of conviction in, and which I'm not investing into. Historically, there are examples of these too, where had you invested into the wrong thesis, you wouldn't have made returns. For example, you could have been believing that Betamax would take market share from the VHS, or alternatively, perhaps that HD DVD would have succeeded over Blu-ray. Now, these are just two examples. There are many, many more of these. It is important to remember that the way human psychology works is that people typically remember those which were successful ahead of those which failed. So this is definitely something to keep in mind. But now, let's try and put some of these theses which we've discussed into the general context of other theses which we've seen over time. All the theses which I mentioned at the start of this video are all very early in the stages of their development. So it can be useful to look at that relative to theses which have played out over a longer period of time to understand how they are comparable. For example, think about the shifting of retail to online. That's been a trend that's been developing over the last, say, 25 years. With the benefit of hindsight, would you have sold an investment in Amazon in 1997 when the thesis was in its very early days of playing out? You wouldn't, would you? Again, with the benefit of hindsight, as commercial air travel started becoming mainstream, you wouldn't have exited an investment you'd made in Boeing knowing that the market would grow massively from there, would you? The same again can be said for companies like GM, Ford, Chrysler, as automotive ownership started becoming mainstream too. Or perhaps an even better example, given that a number of the theses we've discussed earlier are involving the legalisation or derogation of certain activities, whether that being online casino gaming, cannabis, online sports betting. A really good comparison here is an investment into the alcohol sector in the early 1930s, following the abolishment of prohibition. It seems clear now, but you wouldn't have sold an investment in a liquor company after it had announced a partnership with a bar chain for its products to be sold in, say, 3 new bars. Of course you wouldn't. With hindsight, you know the opportunity is much greater than this. Now, the same right now could be said for Golden Nugget Online Gaming when they enter a new state, or alternatively, when HITI opens new stores. At the moment, they're just scratching the surface of the opportunity. You need to be patient. So selling your investment in stocks which are underpinned by a thesis which is still playing out before the critical point has been achieved is just akin to any of the examples we've just discussed. Now, going back to our example of the alcohol sector in the early 1930s, you wouldn't have sold your investment in Anheuser-Busch in the early 1930s just as it was establishing itself as a leading producer of alcohol, would you? It's now one of the market leaders and has grown enormously since then. Now, what's more, and what is actually very interesting, is when you look at the dynamics in the early 1930s with specific alcohol stocks and the abolishment of prohibition. There were some interesting dynamics at play. In fact, pre-prohibition being abolished, a number of the stock prices increased with the expectation of the market opportunity for those alcohol players. Then, once prohibition was lifted, those stock prices actually fell as the hype died down, and this took a while to recover. Now, as we know, again with the benefit of hindsight, the stock prices did recover and have grown significantly from here. But the important point to remember is that we have to be patient. Again, with the benefit of hindsight, you would not have sold your investment at that point in time. Now, going back to our Anheuser-Busch example, you can see from this that they've grown consistently to become one of the largest alcohol companies in the US. Again, they didn't grow into that company overnight. It took time and you have to be patient. Now, there is a very real possibility in some of the examples that we've discussed already that perhaps that peak where pre-prohibition the stock prices rose and then fell before recovering in the longer period of time, that we may be reaching or maybe at that point now. So there is the very real possibility that we see some downside in the stock price from here. Again, however, with the benefit of hindsight and looking at what's happened historically, we know that we need to be patient, and on the basis of those examples, selling now would be a bad idea. Now, hopefully that helps you understand the key dynamics and potential potholes when making thesis-led investments. If you have strong conviction in the investment thesis, you believe in the market opportunity, and you believe the company is well positioned to deliver that strategy, then you should have confidence in your investment and that will yield strong returns for you. But you need to be patient. At the same point, it's absolutely fine to not have conviction in the thesis and not be compelled to invest into companies within it. I currently have this view on a number of other thesis-led growth opportunities, and so personally I've not made any investments into companies that play that thesis, despite the fact that some of these are getting a lot of investor attention currently. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please smash the like button. If you're new to the channel and you like investing related content, then hit that subscribe button. Check out the Patreon if you're interested in more content and joining the private Discord group. And as always, please let me know your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. I love hearing everyone's opinions and perspectives, so please get involved. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video.